I got 5 words for this Chuckalucker. My favorite RTA to date. That's right, you guys heard it. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Merlin Mini RTA by Augvape. I pretty much tried every RTA under the sun, boys and girls, as you guys know. And I gotta say, this right here, it takes the cake. Right now it does. So the packaging this Merlin Mini RTA comes in is this little black tube. And in that packaging, you will receive your Merlin Mini RTA along with some other cool stuff. And that cool stuff includes a deck section for your single coils, 2 extra airflow options for that single coil deck section, comes with this Allen key tool for your rebuildable decks, a buku of O-rings and some extra screws, and last but not least, an extra glass tube. Now onto this Merlin Mini. Okay, a few specs for you. She's primarily made of 304 grade stainless steel. She's 24mm in width and she's 43mm in height. She's got dual bottom adjustable airflow, 1 slot on one side, 1 slot on the other. You grab a hold of this ring and you turn, you adjust. Whatever you adjust on this side is going to be the exact same as on that side. Perfect amount of restrictiveness, and it also stops in one direction and the other. And inside the tank you got those holes: 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole, 4 hole. Those are your feed holes, and this does have juice flow control. You just grab a hold of this ring and you close it off. Open her back up. At the top comes with a standard 510 Delrin drip tip, and this is a super comfortable drip tip. Grab a hold of this top cap and she unscrews like so. Booyah! You got 2 big old slots. You fill from here or here. Do not fill from here. That's your shaft section that leads down to your wick and your coil. But it's easy peasy to fill. This sucker holds 2 mils of e-liquid. And here's underneath the top cap. Everything is machined fantastic, especially for the price point, and I love the sheen of this device, man. It's got a nice shine to it. It's not brushed, it's not chrome, it's right in the middle. Base and deck section unscrew from the rest of this device. Threads nice and smooth, especially for the price point. And there's one of your decks. That's your dual coil deck, velocity style deck, which we will get into. But here's the inside of the chamber section. There's your feed holes right there. So the tank section is made up of 3 individual parts. You got the top section, you got the shaft / chamber section, and you got the glass tube section. Glass tube comes out, and here's your chamber section. Goes together like so. Now here's the velocity style deck section that's screwed into the base. Let me show you. It unscrews. Yeah, there's your pin. Look at that. 510 pin, gold-plated brass. Like I said, it's got that velocity style deck section. Takes 2 coils. It is a dual coil deck. The post holes about 2.5mm each. Uses hex screws, side mount hex screws to tighten down your leads. Also got airflow. 1 slot on one side, bottom airflow. Okay, 1 slot on the other. You got wick holes. There's your wick feed holes right there. See that? The ends of the wicks go down in there, so you tuck the wicks down there, just like most other RTAs. And with these holes, okay, the juice feeds through those holes to your wick, to your coil, and then it vaporizes, and you get your vape on your nicotine fix. Uses a peak insulator. And here's a side view of the deck section. Again, here's your gold-plated brass pin, your 510 pin, and here's the bottom of the airflow slots. Look at that. Alright, so in this velocity style deck, I popped in a dual Clapton build. She's reading at 0.4 ohms, as you guys can see. I got her wicked up, I got her juiced up, and she's ready to be filled and vape. But let me just show you this before we take her up and vape her. Each feed hole slot has got to be completely blocked off with cotton, guys. Don't be shy on your cotton. Oh, she's ready to rock! Now all we got to do is just fill her up. To be honest with you, I've been vaping with this sucker completely closed off, and I don't even know if I consider this thing to have juice flow control. I'm just showing you that you can back it out and do it. I see people talking about how you can, how you can't. I'm just saying you can back it out just a little bit. You don't want to go further and further because it's going to come off the base, but like this, boop, 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 boop. It's not going to mess with the pressure in the tank. I've never had any leaking, but the way that I've been vaping, just letting you know, I close her off all the way. Been vaping like this for weeks, and it's not leaking one bit. It's able to wick just fine with it closed off all the way. It's feeding just fine. I think it's meant to be vaped like this and not like this, but I think that having that option without having to disturb the pressure in the tank is good. So I've got this Merlin Mini sitting on this Battlestar. I've got the dual Clapton build in here. Like I said, she's reading at 0.4 ohms. I'm vaping her at 50 watts, and I got the airflow wide open. It's just a blissful vape. I'm going to take her up to, let's see, 60 watts. The flavor on this, goodness gracious, it just jumps. But that's not what makes this thing. It's just everything combined. It has that it factor. Now here's the single coil deck section, guys, and this is what this thing is all about right here. This is what makes this device. It's good that they offer the dual coil deck section, but this is awesome because you could do mouth to lungs, you could do lung hits, you could do it all, and it's with single coils. You save battery life. To me, this is my favorite deck section. You got your wick slots on each side. You see that? You tuck your wicks down into those slots, and then you get the feed slots on the side, so the juice feeds through those slots on both sides to the wick and then to the coil, which sits over the airflow slot right here. The airflow runs underneath, directly underneath in the center. This is wide open right now, so this is in lung hit mode. And then you got the two-post design, okay? Just your normal two-post design. Each post hole is about 1.2 to 1.3 millimeter in diameter. Uses hex screws to screw down to make connection with your leads. So on the left, you get the 1.8 ohm airflow pin, and then on the right, you get the 1.2 ohm airflow pin. And this is for your mouth to lungers. And this airflow pin right here screws into this section right here. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this single coil deck section into the base section. Alrighty, got a stainless steel, single stainless steel build in here, reading at 0.25 ohms, and I'm using 24 gauge stainless steel, by the way. I've wrapped it around a 3.5 millimeter bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wraps. Got both ends of the wicks fluffed up. All we got to do is tuck it in there. You don't want to stuff it down there, just tuck it. Very gentle. And you want to make sure that that slot right there is completely covered with cotton. Same thing on the other side. Again, on this side, you don't want to be shy on the cotton. It's got to be completely covered in that slot. Juicer up. Oh yeah, and the juicer we're going to be using today, is this Advocacy Man by the Merge line. This stuff tastes like Oreo cookie, ice cream, pistachio, and it is amazing. No less than 20% of the profits made from this juice line go to Advocacy. They're going to the Right to Vape campaign, which has already raised $235,000. Again, we got her all filled up. Now it's time to hit her up. All right, so I've got the same build in there with a 1.2 millimeter pen, and I'm vaping at 380 degrees Fahrenheit at 45 watts. Got the airflow, the outside airflow slightly open. I mean a smidge. It's really good. Top flavor. That mouth to lung, though, it gets me. It always gets me. It tickles the back of my throat. It's because I'm so used to those lung hits. Top-notch flavor for a mouth-to-lung setting. One of the best mouth-to-lung setups I've ever used as far as RTAs. Got her wicked up and wide open in single coil mode, and I'm going to mention this again, but you got to cover up those feed hole slots. You got to cover them up completely with cotton. The flavor, the vapor, the airflow, it's just got that it factor. Everything comes together and kicks vape ass. It's just the only way I can describe it. You gotta try it to believe it, and if you already own one, well then you know what I'm talking about. First con that I found with this device is sometimes when I go to unscrew the tank, okay, like this, it's fine right now, but sometimes I'll go to grab it or grab it from the base, and even when I grab it from the base, it starts to unscrew the tank from the base. It's nitpicky, and it doesn't happen often, but it's happened before. So when you go to screw this tank onto a mod, you don't want to torque it down too tight, because if you do that, you're going to screw the tank off the base. Second con, the top fill, the top cap, that's what I'm talking about. It's slick, it's sleek. I mean, I love the way this thing looks, which we're going to get into, but sometimes it's hard to grip this thing to get the top cap off so you could fill it up. I've never not been able to get the top cap off, but sometimes it's hard to grip it, and it's got to be mentioned. And the last con that I found for this, and this is going to be subjective, but this tank only holds 2 mils of e-liquid. If you're the type of person, you're a juice hog, you have to have a tank or a device that holds a lot of juice, then you're probably not going to want this. But everything else about this Merlin Mini are pros, pros, pros. First off, price point, $29.99. That's the going price online right now, and that is a steal for what you get, in my opinion. Second, build quality. Look at this sucker. I've had my hands, my fingers on this thing all over it for the past few hours, and it still looks good. It's not brushed. It's not like chrome plated. It's right in the middle. It just looks good, and as far as like build quality, as far as the machining, it's phenomenal. Very minimal machine oil, hardly any burrs, no scratches. Next, this Delrin drip tip. This has got to be the most comfortable stock Delrin drip tip that I've ever used. Now, all that's going to be subjective. All these pros and all these cons are going to be subjective, but I got to mention it. This drip tip is bomb diggity dom dom. Also, with this drip tip, since it's a standard 510 drip tip, you can use your preferred standard 510 drip tips if you please. The fact that this thing comes with 2 decks makes it so versatile, and also the fact that with a single coil deck, you got those pins, those airflow pins for the mouth to lungers, that makes it even more versatile. With all the decks in there, it vapes phenomenal. whether you run the dual coil deck, whether you run the single coil deck, and also with these airflow pins, it's great for the mouth-to-lunger. The mouth-to-lunger out there is going to absolutely fall in love with this device. This gives me the best mouth-to-lung experience since the K-Fun, and it's probably better than the K-Fun, to be honest with you. Hell, I don't even like mouth-to-lung hits, and I like it off this device. Airflow all across the board, smooth as a porn star's butt. Let me tell you something, and it's got the perfect amount of restrictiveness. Perfect. Back to the build decks, okay? It's super easy to build on whether you're using the Velocity style deck or the single deck. Single deck is even easier. It's easy to wick. You cannot go shy on the cotton, but if you do, if you follow the instructions the way that I showed you how to wick it in this video, you're never going to have any leaking. You're going to have a blissful vape every single time. The flavor that I get from this tank is absolutely top notch. Some of the best, if not the best, that I've gotten this year off of an RTA. Now, it's all about what your build is. It's all about how you wick it, but if you wick it and build it like I do, you're going to get some top-notch flavor. And last but not least, this sucker has fit on all my devices, been compatible, screw down flush, and made a connection. Another thing I love about this tank is how stealthy it is, especially for a 24mm tank. It is nice and stealthy and short. I love that, man. Here's another tank, the Coil Art Mage GTA, both the exact same size. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, here's another tank, the Cloud Beast. Cloud Beast is huge. Look at the difference. Look at the freaking difference. Love this thing for its size. Hell freaking yeah, I'd buy this thing. $29.99. I don't even need to talk to you guys any further. It's that good, that good. Go get it. I highly recommend it. This is Rip Chippers, and remember, smoking is dead. Vaping is the future, and the future is now.